Win big with new DRF All Access past performances. With one best-in-class product, you now get all three past performance formats. Go to DRF.com and use coupon code 1FREEPP for a free single card today.
Dan Illman, Mike Beer, kicking off Saturday's Pick 5 at Keeneland with race number 6, the $200,000 Bowman Mill. These are 2-year-olds going 3/4 of a mile. Before we take a look at the field, remember that DRFTV viewers have a chance to get 10% off all DRF past performances. Shop now. Use that QR code and use the coupon code DRFTV10. Here's the field for the Bowman Mill. Field's still in flux. Wesley Ward entered the 6 long neck Paula, the 7 White Sands. They're both fillies that are in on Friday, but I have a feeling one of them at least will show up here.
Yeah, I don't know which one, but it feels like you're right, Dan. One of them will probably run Friday, and one of them will run here. Who knows which one it will be? Either way, they're both, I think, tactical enough, drawn outside, that they could just sort of sit up close. But it feels like there's a lot of speed to their inside.
It certainly is. As we take a look at our Timeform U.S. pace projector, they've got the 4 Macho Music, who has been perfect from 3 starts, has been on the lead from start to finish in all of those races. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You got to think Macho Music is going to go. Don't be fooled by the last running line from White Sands. She is plenty fast if she runs in this race, and so is Long Neck Paula, although I do think she's more of a tactical type. That being said, I think Macho Music makes the top.
Yeah, I mean, just the way that, especially the way that they've ridden him in his last 2 starts, too, Dan. I mean, Macho Music, they've just taken no prisoners with this horse in his last 2 starts, right to the front on fast paces, and he made big leads stand up against weaker horses in those. I think the other speed horse is the one, Tough Catch. This horse had big speed in his debut at Saratoga, and he got bumped at the start of the Hopeful and just sort of wound up in and among horses and couldn't get forward.
Middy's Gritty, the number 3, is the fastest Timeform U.S. late pace rating. He rallied from left field to win his debut. I don't know if I want to pigeonhole him as a true closer just yet, but he's unlikely to be on the lead. Mike's right about Tough Catch, the number 1, who showed high speed in his debut, going 5.5 at Saratoga. Got a really good figure for that race. And then they ran him in the Grade 1 Hopeful, and he caught a very good field. He caught Chancellor McPatrick, who's going to be one of the favorites in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. That horse came back to win the Champagne with a 92 buyer. He caught Ferocious, who came back to run second in the Breeders' Futurity. He caught Menti, who came back to win a graded stakes race on turf. He was probably just simply overmatched.
Yeah, he was. I mean, that was ultimately too tough a race for him. I understand why they wanted to take a shot there, Dan, because his debut was a really good performance with a figure. They ran him in the hope. They took a shot. He didn't get out of the gate that well. He took a bump. He wound up in a 3-4 wide trip trying to chase that pace, and it was just never going to happen for him against that field. He's a much better fit here. If he breaks well from the rail, he's going to be forward in this race, and I think he could easily beat this field.
Terrapin Station, the number 2, took some sneaky money for his debut for a Dale Romans trained first-time starter. He was 9-2 in an 11-horse field. He caught a sloppy track. He stayed up close to a very moderate pace, but he won in gritty fashion. I think this guy has some abilities, facing horses with more brilliance than it seems, but maybe this horse will take a big step forward on a fast track, and it's not like he has to improve that much.
It'll be interesting to see how much better he gets out of the debut. Overall, he got a really good trip in that race, and it was a race where the 1, 2, 3 finishers, they were just right up on the pace the entire way, and nobody closed from behind in there. But when you go back and watch this horse, Dan, just sort of sitting outside 3 wide, always looked like he was going to run, and then in the stretch, he won't change his lead. He's leaning in on another horse the entire way, like almost like he didn't know what he was supposed to do in there. Maybe he benefited from that race greatly.
Middy's Gritty, the number 3, just did no speed in his debut for Brad Cox. It's not like he took a ton of money for a Cox-trained firster. He was 6-1. He fell as far back as you will ever see a 2-year-old first-time starter, and thankfully for him, that pace was electric. They went 21-1, 44-2, and Middy's Gritty started picking it up in the stretch. It was the classic fast early, slow late race, but Middy's Gritty, listen, you don't see this too often, passing 11 horses in your debut.
Yeah, it's true. You're right. The setup was there for him, but this is a horse who was green right from the gate in there. Like almost like he had no idea what he was supposed to do. And he just kept dropping further and further back, almost like he wasn't going to run at all. They took him wide at the top of the stretch. He still had an acre of ground to make up on that field, and he came running in there. That was a really, really big finish.
Macho Music, perfect in his last 2 starts. I said he's flawless in his career. He's actually beaten in his career debut, but he wasn't beaten at Keeneland. It's always nice to have a race over the track. First level allowance going 3/4 of a mile, and he took no prisoners. He went fast early. 21-3, 44-1. This is what's known as speed popping them.
Yeah, it just went, I mean, right from the start, they were not going to back off the gas in this race, and he just kept going in here, and they're just not going to be able to get anywhere near him at the end of this race. And he did the same thing when he broke his maiden 2 starts back, going 5.5. Just sent him. He went right to the front. He opened a huge lead on a fast pace, and they couldn't get anywhere near him. I guess they'll try that again here. I suspect it's going to be a lot harder for him to wire this field. And he's 2-1 on the morning line, which doesn't thrill me. I'm not betting him. I'll be interested to see how he runs.
Politically Correct seems a little bit underrated. He won his debut on the lead. He won the Bashford Manor from way off the pace. He then ran second in the Juvenile at Ellis Park against Owen Almighty, who looks like a pretty nice 2-year-old in the Midwest. Last time out in the Iroquois, though, he just didn't pick up his feet. He didn't break very well, but I wanted to see him run a lot better. I guess the good news for him is that one of the also-rans from that race came back to dominate a first-level allowance at Keeneland with an 83 buyer.
Yeah, we're trying not to be too hard on him for the last one, even though he didn't run well. You mentioned that he didn't get out of the gate that well in there. That's been a real habit for him. Yeah, and all 4 of his starts, he's just, that first step out of the gate is not quick for him. And so it can compromise him, to be sure. That being said, I want to give him a pass for the last one. I thought he was fine. 2 starts back at Ellis Park. Really, really liked his Bashford Manor. I thought that was a really nice performance.
And now the Word Train fillies. Long Neck Paula was just such a likable debut winner, going 4.5 at Churchill, that I think we both liked her a little bit, at least in the Schuylerville on opening day at Saratoga. And she ran just fine to be 3rd. She then showed up at Prairie Meadows. She was 1-5 in the Prairie Meadows debutante, and she made it look like a bargain.
I mean, you don't win races any easier than this. She just set up shop outside the pace setter in here, took over at the top of the stretch. You can see the way she finishes it off. She's really, really talented, and she's got handy speed, Dan. So maybe she gets the right trip in here. This is a pretty tall order.
The runner-up from this race came back to win a stake at Remington by 1 million lengths with a 78 buyer speed figure. She's in that stake at Keeneland on Friday. And White Sands, Jackie's Warriors' little half-sister, won a stake at Prairie Meadows against the boys 2 starts back. And we talked about the Best Pal last time out, where the pace just wasn't very fast. And for some reason, they didn't use White Sands' speed. And maybe she wouldn't have won anyway. But those tactics didn't work out.
Agreed. Yeah, who knows? Maybe she wasn't going to be good enough anyway. But it's just interesting that they would ship her all the way to California to run in a graded stakes race against boys, and then ride her like that when she just showed so much speed in her first 2 starts. I mean, to me, she just had no chance last time, and you're supposed to put a line through it.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Bowman Mill, kicking off a 50-cent pick 5 at Keeneland on Saturday. Listen, Mitty's gritty. I hope she's not 50 out of it down the backstretch this time around. I have a feeling she's going to be a little bit more used to what she should be doing, more experienced. Maybe she'll be 6 out of it. I want to see if she can do it again.
Yeah, me too. I took her on top as well. We'll see what kind of price she is, Dan. I just feel like she's going to be more professional this time than she was last time. And he showed that he had a good amount of potential in his debut. I didn't want to give Short Shrift a tough catch. I think he's going to run well in here from the rail. And I like Politically Correct just fine. I just wonder what kind of trip he's going to pull in here.
I wonder if the 1 and the 4 hook up and it sets things up for Mitty's gritty. 3157 for Mike, 3467 for me. It's the Bowman Mill, one of 3 stakes at Keeneland on Saturday. Good luck. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like and subscribe button below for more great DRF content, including Race of the Days, stakes previews, and lots more. You can find it right here.